Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Let's get into it. We got a special guest. Before he introduces himself, just a disclaimer, we were stationed together here in Washington. I'm sure he's still in Washington by head nod. Yes. So, yep. Okay. He'll introduce himself. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for retired First Sergeant Jonathan Hill. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm, like you said, Jonathan Hill, retired United States Marine Corps First Sergeant. Did 23 years in a month. Retired out of the unit with Garcia, with Gunny G, about 11 months ago. Great honor to work with him and pleasure to work with that man. Great guy. A little bit about myself. I enlisted in the Marine Corps back in December of 2000. Was an infantryman for 20 years. So my first duty station was 3-5.
Time. You said two.
Yep.
Okay, continue. Wow, that's far.
Yeah. It's like yesterday.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, stationed over there in Camp Pendleton at 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. Was a rifleman there and got to go on a few deployments. First one was a 31st MEU back in 02. Then 03 was did the invasion of Iraq. Then 04 did another deployment to Iraq. And I re-enlisted in late December or early December of 04. Got orders to 3rd Marine Division. Spent a year at the regiment, at 3rd Marine Regiment, then went over to 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, then also deployed 2 more times to Iraq as a squad leader, section leader. Then finally got histed to be a recruiter man. Did that in Ohio, Cincinnati area region, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. So it was great.
Yeah, right.
And then I started my journey in Camp Lejeune for 8 years. So I went from recruiting to 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, was staff NCO at that time, staff sergeant, was a weapons platoon sergeant with 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines, got to go to Afghanistan, then got back from Afghanistan, did a liaison team for a year and a half in Afghanistan with the Georgian Army and Afghan Army. Then got back from that, then was a combat instructor at MCT SY East, right there on Camp Geiger. Did that for like 34 months, 32 months. Then went over to 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, was company gunny. Did a UDP to Okinawa, which was a blast. Then got selected First Sergeant. Decided to lap move at 20 years as an infantry guy, which was wild in itself. And ended up at Marine Corps Security Force Battalion Bangor up in Washington that not too many people know about.
No. Before we get into that's it. Quite a resume, John. Holy mackerel! Before we get into it, though, can you do me a favor? Yes, there it is. I want to get your shoulders and get your whole picture. The beard, no, you're good. The beard is a good look. I like it. How long did it take you to grow that out?
So I've been growing it since my official date, so February 1st of this year. So just trimmed it. Nice. Just trimmed it a few times on the side because it gets really wild on the sides, and trim the mustache because it's pretty nice.
I like it. I wish. Let me ask you something. It's quite a resume. Back to back Iraq. You said you did recruiting. Well, no, I'm sorry. Before recruiting, you went to Lejeune, then you did Afghanistan.
No, I went to recruiter, then Afghanistan.
That's right, Afghanistan. Holy! And were you married the entire time? Had kids?
Yeah, for the most part. I got married in 2003.
Oh, pretty much.
Yeah, so like 2.5 years in the Corps, then got married.
How old were you and got married?
I was 22 years old.
Man, quite a ride for her, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got 3 kids now.
Was she ready for it?
Probably not, but it's all about, like adapting and overcoming. It's like you have this preconceived notion of being in the military, and nobody knows what it's like until you step feet first into it, and it's like,
yeah, that's true.
That's what it's all about.
That's true. Oh, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
What? So you recruiting Afghanistan, and then you went to combat instructor. My God, it's like the op tempo just never stopped for you, did it?
No, I didn't.
My goodness. And
Kept
then,
me busy.
yeah, so you were in Lejeune for 8, you said, and then got selected for 89.99, and you came out here. Did you retire in Washington?
I did.
Are you from Washington?
Yeah, originally. So yeah, my dad retired in Washington, actually from the same base that I retired from. So that's pretty cool. So
That is pretty cool. So
yeah,
you're a military brat, huh?
yep.
Nice. Let me ask you something, John. You've seen a lot, done a lot, way more than I will ever see. Well, only because you were in wartime op tempo. You've seen some stuff, adversity, resilience, from beginning to end, from flash to bang, 2000 all the way to 2023, right? How did the core change for you? The biggest, the
Uh,
biggest, biggest difference between 2023.
Shoot. Here, give me a second. My dog's like
Yeah,
freaking
go ahead,
out.
go ahead. You're good
One
to go.
second. Hold on. All right, sorry about that.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
The dog was. I let her out, and then she wanted to go back outside. I don't know. It's that time of year for huskies. She's like, "Oh, it's cold outside." No, yeah. To answer your question, I mean, a lot's changed, really. In my opinion, my humble opinion here, the course changed a lot. Like, just I think through the warfighting innovations, we had a specific mission, and strategic, stuff to do, for 20 plus years, right? While that war was going on, and being a young lance corporal all the way up to E8 first sergeant, seeing and kind of rolling with those changes of like, all right, how do we handle certain combat situations? How do we handle certain adversity? How do we handle dealing with the culture? I think the warfighting concept proved a lot of things and kind of hindered a lot of things, because, like, it wasn't just the Marine Corps, it was all the branches were basically, they let the doors open for everybody, like, hey, if you got a pulse, we got a waiver for you, come on in, so then once
Interesting.
that started to slow down, the Marine Corps is trying to get a more rounded individual before they come into the Corps, if that makes sense.
It does.
But a lot of the changes I saw, from they I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 10 years ago now? Yeah, 2016, 8 years ago. No, shoot, even before that, like 2014, 2015, letting females in combat arms MOS, which I don't have an opinion on that. I'm not going to sit here and rant, whether it's a good idea or not. Like, that's above my pay grade, but, that's a huge change. That's a huge change in the infantry community, and there's just a lot of stuff too, with how the military handles recognizing, I guess I would say, like, recognizing, like, in my opinion, the Marine Corps has always been like kind of like slow in, like, a day late, dollar behind on a lot of things, and which is true even with like the mental health aspect, adversity things of like, hey, how do we handle these situations? Now we have a huge influx. Now we have a whole division. Now we have 3 divisions coming back from wartime. 3rd Marine Division at the time was back in like 03 to 04. They're going back to Afghanistan in Iraq. Why the 1st Marine Division was doing the Iraq thing, and it's like, all right, now we have 100 plus thousand service members with like mental health issues. What do we do? And at that time, back then, it wasn't. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or say the wrong thing, but it wasn't good. It was just like, okay, all right, either making the shit up or you just fucking get over it, And that's what happened a lot, in my opinion, or when I seen personally, And you had a lot of people kind of self-destruct on themselves, and that was pretty rough. Then last COVID, right? COVID happened in the middle of this crap, for 2 years back, 2020, 21, 22. And I don't know where you were stationed at when that happened, but I ended up PCSing during COVID, which was one of the hardest things to do, because all these guys got promoted, all these first sergeants, sergeant majors, all these gunnies. Basically, every year Marines are getting promoted, and like, hey, once you get promoted, depending what rank you are and where you're at, Lance Corporal, he could stay in his shop, or he could stay where he's at. But once you're like a staff NCO, like staff sergeant, gunny, first sergeant, master sergeant, major master guns, you're not gonna stay where you're at. They have to move your ass. So that was a weird try time. It's like, all right, boom, sent me over to Bangor, over to Washington, and and every command, or that command, was very risk averse at the time. So it was a weird transition. It was a hard transition, especially I would say, for the younger Marines, because they came in, with a purpose, and they have a purpose, but they had no real outlet to kind of let off steam as young men would, and so I think it caused a lot of issues. Then eventually they're like, hey, everyone just get the shot or get out, and that happened. So yeah, and I think the Marine Corps is finally getting back to where it was before the COVID crap. So
Good.
hopefully,
hopefully,
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There's a lot there to unpack. I'd say I'm a big proponent of back and forth into what you're talking about. I'll tell you what, PCS during COVID, same thing, but I went to Hawaii, and that was quite an experience. Usually the roads of Waikiki. You're good.
Here, 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. I apologize. My daughter just came home from school. So
No worries. You're good. You're fine. You're home. You're relaxing. Easy day. Yeah. Streets of Waikiki, boring. Just like you can see the little, what are those desert tumbleweeds, right? Tumbleweeds, is that what they call them?
yeah.
Just rolling down the street. Nobody in Waikiki. It was actually quite nice. It was quite it was actually surreal, and to think about how much foot traffic is here normally compared to just me and my family walking down the street because we're the only ones there. It was wild.
Yeah. I have a
But
buddy who lives there, and they said they were worse than Washington. Like, their governor was like, I didn't live there like you did, but I heard some crazy stories. Like, we were doing some crazy stuff on Bangor, but like the stuff I heard they were doing out in Hawaii, not even just for the military, but for the civilians. It blew my mind. I was like, whoa, those guys got it worse than we do. So you guys were like straight lockdown.
It was rough. It was rough. And, if you take it, you take it. If you don't, you don't. Like,
Yeah.
I know plenty of dependents that didn't and didn't want to because it's you're in the military, not me, right? Kind of thing. And it definitely presented its issues. I remember having people come visit and they weren't vaccinated. My God, that was like everybody's going to hell because they didn't get a shot. It was wild. It just the base commander would say yes, no, maybe so. It was a trying time for sure. Let me ask you this though. Out of all that 23 years, what made you get out here in Bangor? Is that what you wanted to do, or was there something that kind of broke the camel's back?
Kind of yes and no. The goal was to get to 20, or well, actually not even that. Me and my buddy Castillo, it's like we always talk about. It's always like, hey, just make it to your next enlistment, right? Just make it to your next enlistment. When I first re-enlisted, being a young infantry guy, coming in as a private and not really knowing anything about anything back then, like, 'cause we didn't have, nobody had laptops in their room, and it was a different time, right? We didn't have cell phones, whatnot. Gunny Google wasn't around yet. Unless you were like super rich, and but you're not rich as private pay or Lance Corporal pay back then. So we ended up going to Okinawa. That was cool. Did the invasion of Iraq. Well, that was wild, right? And getting going, like, after that second deployment, I was telling my company XO, my executive officer, was like, yeah, man, like, I pretty much did everything I wanted to do in the Marine Corps, like, I got to go to war as an infantry guy. I got to jump out of helicopters, like, shoot guns, like, blow shit up. Like, what more can an infantry guy ask for, Then, because, the XO was going around like, are you guys going to re-enlist, blah, blah, that type of stuff. And, Lance Corporal, well, I'm not going to do, typical Lance Corporal attitude, like, your shit. But yeah, I had no real plan. Then after my third deployment came back, I had like 45, like, yeah. So this goes back to your first question, how the Marine Corps handled people transitioning EASing. Like, I got back from my third deployment in like mid-October, and my ES was December 4th of 2004. So I just got back from another combat deployment. I'm married, living off base, and I'm trying to figure life out. And I'm like, oh shit. And it was just like, all right, check out, turn your shit in, check out. You need any help? Basically, it was like, figure it out on your own, And in Pendleton, I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to check out of Pendleton. It's probably one of the hardest bases to check out of because you have to go all over the damn bay. Well, 20 years ago was fucking crazy. They probably, hopefully, knock on wood, they made it somewhat more easier because it makes. I was stationed in Mateo, Camp Mateo, so it didn't make
Boy.
any sense. I had to go all the way to main side, right, to get some stupid signature, right, and everything's like on main side. Then back then, the central issue facility, the CIF, right, was on main side.
Mm-hmm.
So like going from Mateo to main side, that's a 35-40 minute drive alone, right? Yeah, so that was crazy. I just realized I was talking to the not the monitor, what's like Sergeant Bennett's job. What the hell is that called again?
Oh, the career
Career,
plan.
yeah, career planner guy. He was like, hey, the monitor's gonna be in town on the day of my EAS on the 4th of December. You just talk to them. You might get what you want. And I went in there jokingly, like, hey, if you can send me to Hawaii. Like, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know Marines were stationed on Hawaii back then. I was like, I thought they'd just go there just for deployment. And they're like, yeah, we send you 3rd Marine Division. I was like, okay. So I signed the contract. Boom. Was there. And that's where I really, I think, fell back in love with the Marine Corps. Got to Hawaii. Got sent to, like, some PME school, like Corporal Corps, Squad Leader School. Got to do some stuff, got to do some fun stuff out there. And just taking young men and taking them and training them and taking them into combat and coming back home with them and all that stuff. And that, like, kind of really resonated with me. And I was like, man, I'm going to stick around and do this again. Then I think the hardest the hardest period was, I think it's for everybody, honestly. But staff sergeant, I'm right at 12-year mark, right? And it's like, and I'm like, shoot, do I re-enlist? I got 6 months, right? I'm like, man, do I get out or stay in? I get 8 years to 20, or do I get out now? And I contemplated that for a long time. Ended up re-enlisting. Then the 12 to the 15-year mark, like that 3 years, I swear was like the longest part of my career out of like all of it. Like just being a staff sergeant, like, I don't know, being a staff sergeant was not. Yeah, it was good. It was a good learning opportunity. It was great.
Yeah, it's freaking. You're bottom of total pool, staff and COs.
Yeah, man. Like you're fucking where the rubber is the road.
Sometimes you are the road. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
just
wild.
getting beat on a daily. But yeah, no, it was that was rough. But like there was light at the end of the tunnel. Picked up Gunny, and that was like phenomenal. It was like being a sergeant all over again, but better. You're a Gunny,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. It's like you're like, man, I was a staff sergeant a year ago, 2 years, however long ago. That's where you're like, fuck no. Bust me down a Lance Corporal. I'll fucking be a Lance Corporal again, not a staff sergeant. Fuck, that's it.
yeah, yeah. I tell you what, coming to Washington where I met you, you already kind of halfway through, I believe, right? I think so. You're halfway through when I
Yep.
got here in 2023. I already pretty much got, right?
Yeah.
2023? No, you're already the latter end of
Yeah.
your tour, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I had about 9 months with you. So
Yeah, and then Gunny Moody was there with you, and
yeah,
it was a good turnover. I mean, whoever stepped in the shoot for you was First Sergeant.
him. Yeah, Moody.
Shoot,
Well,
Moody got
Moody
some
had it, and then I forget the guy's name. I didn't meet him when I was up there, like 8 months
Rustin.
ago. Yeah, Rustin. Yeah, I met Rustin. Me and
Rustin.
Rustin hang out. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took off to Virginia. Did he tell you?
Yeah, him and I keep in contact. He said he finally got his hardship duty orders so he can get out of there. So, which is good because not talking about Bangor, it's a good duty station, but if you have, the medical care for your family is not the best there.
Really?
Especially if you're coming from like Lejeune or Pendleton or somewhere on the East Coast like he was, like Paris Island area, like having access to a naval hospital, like a full naval hospital, because the one in Bremerton's not, they don't do
That's
everything.
small. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
so.
see, even St. Michael's here in Silverdale, you got to get pushed out to JBLM. That's like an hour away. Gosh, it's wild.
Yeah, hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah, it depends where you live on the peninsula.
Mm-hmm. Well, so where are you staying at now? Here in Washington.
I'm in Eastern Washington in a city called West Richland, Tri-Cities area.
Wow. How far is that from Bangor?
About 5.5 hours.
Oh, that's
So,
far.
yeah.
That's far. Hey, 23 years, amazing. It sounds amazing. Everything you did, you probably saw some cool stuff. got to do some cool stuff. You just said it yourself. I got to ask though, in that time frame, something had to pop off where, you mentioned it before. It was like, are you faking it? If not, we'll go pound time. We got to go back. We got to go back out again. Was there a time where it kind of hit you face first, like, damn, I am going through something? Can you touch on that piece? And I'm sure 23 years has got to be something.
Yeah. It kind of hit me when I was a staff sergeant. Life just kind of happened, and just back to back doing deployments after deployment. It hit a rough patch there, coming back, coming off recruiting duty back into the operating forces. And have you done a B billet? I can't remember. You did recruiting, right?
Hell, John, I did the best SDA in the world. It's drill
Oh yeah,
instructor duty.
yeah, you did the hat. Yeah, but all right, well, yeah, but like, you know how it was. You did like 3 years on the depot, and you get back to your field. How much stuff changed? People are talking all kinds of crazy acronyms, and you're like, all the acronyms you remember the depot acronyms, And when I was a recruiter, like my brain's like recruiter mode. Like, all right, now we got to go back to like gunfighting mode. All right, how to flip that switch, and it was a rough transition, because like you're truly independent on the duty station, and it's nice because you're just kind of leading yourself or leading some people. But when you're back in the fleet, you're like, oh, you got 45 Marines to take care of and all that crap, and you're like, man, this is not fun. So
You ain't lying. It's almost like you
yeah,
want to go back to the SDA because it's just so much easier.
right, yeah, it's crazy, and it's crazy because the SDA sucked.
You ain't lying. I mean, I hats off to recruiters. They do a whole lot more than we do. We kind of, it's ours is routine and kind of planned out every training day, 3 months at a time. So you know what to expect. For you guys, it's kind of like every day is going to be different, whether or not you meet the quota or meet the Marine's going to, ship out to
Yeah,
MEPS and then disqualify himself at MEPS. Is kind of just
or some crazy
uneasy.
dumb stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Go ahead.
it was just it was rough, And I told myself like, hey, I'm gonna go get help after I get back. And I kept pushing it off, which was not the right idea to do. So when I got to MCT, SY East, where we're pushing classes, MCC is pushing a lot of classes, but I was able to, they had a really good provider there, basically kind of take a tactical time out and just kind of understand what I was going through, get the help, start getting the help and recognizing the stuff I needed, um, which was good, honestly, because that
Yeah.
that set that set me up because it slowed me down. It got me like to kind of like take a deep breath and like, hey, it's not all about this and the other thing. It's you need to take care of yourself first. And as a Marine, as a young guy or just whatever, it's easy to put the blinders on and be like, hey, I'm taking care of myself, or I'm taking care of my Marines. That's all that matters, you know. Because we like to preach like, hey, family first, court. Like in reality, I was like, my Marines first. My family was like third in that chain. Like they were in the back seat essentially. That was
That's true.
reality. And the hardest thing for me transitioning when I got out, it was nice. Like it was, you definitely, when you turn your gear in at the SIF, you get all that weight off your shoulders. Like, yeah, more gear and you're out of the Marine Corps. It's a good feeling, but it was really scary in the sense of like, I never done, I never done this before, and it
Boy,
sounds easy, like, oh, just do your own thing. Yeah. Like, what is your own thing? When you've been programmed for like 23 years and some change to do what, and you're on autopilot, right? After like 16, 15 plus years, you're on autopilot really in the Marine Corps, kind of getting shit done. And it's like, man, what do I do? How do I connect with my family? How do I connect with my wife? How do I have a relationship with, the time I lost? And, and it's like a marathon, it's not a race to get it all done at once, but it's just slowly, I call it like winning a battle every day or once a week, you pick something out and it's like, all right, I need to work on this. I need to try to do this. And it's definitely a lot of like up and down. I would say there's a lot more lows and ups, at the moment, but that's just, fighting through it, just getting through it. But
boom,
it was a blessing to make it that far in the Marine Corps, and to retire, I'm truly grateful for that.
it's crazy. I'll tell you what, it's rough because you got to, even after an SDA, I mean, you did 23 years. Obviously, transitioning to civilian sector is not as kinetic, I'll tell you that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kinetic in a different way emotionally, because you're trying to figure out how do I fit in to these people's lives when they took the back seat, like 3 seats down, like down the bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is rough. I mean, even after an SDA, I couldn't, as a drill instructor, there was no on and off switch. It was just drill instructor mode 24/7. And then, so my kids were kind of like recruits, and anything they did was, knife handing and flipping the switch. And there'd be times where, I mean, it's funny. Yeah, actually, now I think about it, it's funny, but it wasn't because my wife was, Minnie. It was very, very intimidating for her because she didn't know what to do and how to react or respond to the situation. But she understood that I was doing something difficult and it was hard for me to transition. Even now, what is it, 2020 or 24, 4 years out of it, there's like little tidbits, things that trigger me still. Peace and quiet, not good. I can't sit in the peace and quiet. I'm sure in the peace and quiet is kind of, it's rough, maybe rough for you, and maybe just me, to be honest. But in peace and quiet, it has to be loud. I have to hear a lot of things around me. There has to be chaos. And maybe
Yeah.
this is the Marine Corps thing. I don't know. You tell
Yeah.
me.
The TV has to be on. You know what I'm saying? I can't when because I'm Mr. Mom right now. I get the kids to school. Get them home and pick them up, take them to school, and it's like when everyone's off at work or at school, like all right, TV comes on. That's why I got a dog. The best thing ever. Get a fucking companion.
Yeah.
Because I mean, hats off to my wife, man. Like, because that's like learning. Because everyone talks shit, right? You see the stupid. You've probably seen the memes. People talk crap about people's their dependents, and that they use that word as derogatory for them. It's like, dude, go f yourself, man. It's the stuff that they do. I couldn't raise. I could. There's no way I could have raised the 3 kids during that time. Fuck no. I've been like a deadbeat dad, man. You know what I'm saying? I would have fucking ran tail. It's like take care of the house, take care of the stuff now. Yeah, I'm on my own program, but it's different. It's just different work.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Especially when you get the brainwashedness of the military, Marine Corps. Like everything wants to be perfect, right? So it's like, all right, I want to fucking keep everything nice and fucking neat. Because like just like a drill instructor, combat instructor is kind of like, we're very everything's got to be done to a certain degree, a certain task, right? It has to be specifically done. And it's like, all right, this is how I'm gonna treat the house. It's gonna be like, boom, 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 And if when they mess it up, right? It's like it's a little thing, like, hey, fucking, like the silly thing, right? At boot camps, a shoe display, right? Like, hey, fucking put your fucking shoes out the right damn way, sir. And it's like you're fucking kids. You're like fucking terrorists.
Yeah, I get you. I get you, John. Look, I'll tell you what, 11 months out, what's the best thing since you took the uniform off?
Just getting to reconnect who I am. Like, and I'm like taking the values of the Corps in my life, just kind of reflecting on that, and just really being proud of the service I did, and being humble at the same time with it, and knowing that I can be home every night, which is great.
What
I haven't
about,
done a whole lot. Like when I didn't get a job. Like I got offered a job when I did that internship. I took it. That lasted about a week. I just realized I wasn't passionate about it. I was like, hey, I just did something. I was like, that's the big thing. Like, explaining to a civilian, and you can't really explain it to them. Just the understanding, like, oh yeah, I'm passionate about whatever, driving a truck. Yeah, oh, all right. But like, they're like, when you're in the military, like, you have to be passionate. That's 24/7. There's no like, hey, 9 to 5, 7 hour or 10 hour days, 11 hour days. Okay, yeah, whatever. See you on Monday, right? No, it's 24/7. You know how it is, right? Like you send the boys home. You send the boys home. All right. Hey, you're with the adjutant after hours or before. Like, hey, I'll come in. I'll come in at this time. Got to take care of this, that, and it's like because people talk about a schedule, and you're like, look, man, I'll make it work. Just tell me what you need done. I got it. And they don't, it's different, it's completely different, it's you can't, if you haven't done it, they, they'll shake their head, they'll nod, oh yeah, 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 I'll get it. They say they understand. I don't think they truly understand until you know what I'm saying, until you do it,
that's
you know what I'm
facts.
saying? So,
That's part of the battle itself is like, these guys don't understand. They don't speak my language, my love language, right? Of of Marine Corps red. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't speak it. So how am I supposed to be passionate about what they're doing or do? Man, I could look. I got five. I'm gonna hit 15 in August, and I'm finishing my bachelor's degree, and I want to be in a position where transition is easy. But as I talk to veterans, past or present, like even active duty person about to retire, like from my experience, it's very slim to none who is actually prepared to get out. Like who wants to get out, really? It's just so much easier to keep the uniform on because it's, like you said, it's an autopilot. But that's part of the struggle too. Chaos, adversity definitely shows you who you truly are. And you look great as a wolf, man. I appreciate that. So yeah. We gotta weave it back in. You talked about adversity. You hit it right when you came from recruiting back to the fleet in Afghanistan. The op tempo kind of went back high. It was like, man, what am I doing here? Marines, we're not in wartime. We're in peacetime, and we're struggling transitioning. We're struggling in the uniform. Mental health is prevalent, whether it's suicide or just getting help in general. We're alpha males, alpha females, and we don't think we have to ask for help. Let's hit that piece here. Give them a tool for a toolbox. The ones struggling right now with mental health, or the ones thinking about taking that 30-inch step the wrong way, give them something that provides some insight with your 23 years of service.
Yeah, I mean, it's been beat down their heads, right? I might go off a little tangent here. I might kind of weave it back and forth a couple times, but like the simple answer, right? Like go ask for help. But like you said, we're alpha male dominated, and people don't want to let each other down. And they make alcohol, drugs, right? And not going too far over on some of the stuff that you and I dealt with when stuff like that happens, right? What's 99% involved, drugs or alcohol, right? Honestly, and that's the sad part. But my biggest thing is, leaders, not just leaders, man, because that's the cliche. Like people just need, like the Marine Corps is trying to change their attitude, trying to change like the culture. Is we as a male dominated force really is we have to learn how to show compassion, not just say, hey, go talk to a mental health provider, go talk to the ads, or no, go talk to the wizard, go talk to the guy downstairs, because realistically, right, like if you and I are boys, we've known each other, let's say for like 5-10 years, I'm like, hey man, whoa, what you just told me is really heavy. I'm gonna take you over here now and you're gonna go talk to this guy. And you're like, you're gonna feel a certain type of way, because I felt a certain type of way when that happened to me. And like, I thought I was just trying to vent and talk with you, man, but all right, at the end it helps out, but it's like being there, also being that person to kind of help that person struggle. Everyone struggles, right? And it's like, it's how you struggle. Everyone struggles together, and it's just you're fighting to struggle every day, And it's like I think people recognize that, and if you're open, the best thing about bringing the Marine Corps was like, hey, it's not 9 to 5. If a dude wanted to come to my office, and a lot of times they did, sailors and Marines that came in my office, and they wanted to like just talk about random stuff, right? Guys from the 4 shop, 3 shop, whatever, come upstairs, or I'd come down there 1 shop, and it's like, what's really going on? Don't tell them like everything's good, because no one's really good, right? Like if I won the fucking lottery and I had like millions of dollars, I'm fucking straight, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like happier than pig and shit. But yeah, just being like able to, and that's one thing about recruiting. It taught you how to listen, right? It taught you how to basically less is more. Let the person just kind of vomit it out, right? Just like what's really bothering, and a lot of that shit's deep shit when you hear from a young kid who's like, and what we want to do, because you're a father, I'm a father, and we look at these Marines as kids or as our children, as I do. I looked at them as like my kid, kind of like, and they're struggling with stuff like I've dealt with and you probably dealt with, and it's like, and they're growing up. It's life, right? Life is literally punching them in the face right there at the moment. And it's just like, man. And what I learned was like, don't be so quick to throw out a solution for that young kid, right? It's like, let them get it out. Let them talk about it, kind of listen, and just say, okay, man. And just find out what help they need, and not just because a lot of times they'll just blanket help at them. Like, it's simple, right? So a physical injury, this dude broke his leg and twisted his ankle. All right, that's easy. Fucking rest it, ice it, let's put a splint on it. That's boom, 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 right? But like guys have a mental problem. It's like, all right, what were you doing before you got to this situation? Like a month ago, you were happy-go-lucky, but what changed that? Well, I stopped doing this. Okay, well, let's get a plan together. Let's try to get you back to this, but while you're doing that, you're going to go see so-and-so to get professional help, and getting that professional help and just trying to get the person back into, because depression's a real thing, man. People, especially over there on that side, like that side of the state, like you guys are in the depressive states the months for the next like 8 months now, It's sun's not shining until like May of next year, or maybe June, right? And young guys, right? And I was one of them. I didn't take vitamin D, right? And that sounds silly, like, oh, fucking pill. Like, no, man. Like, I did a blood test when I got out. Went to the VA, did my medical stuff, and they did my yearly physical. And my vitamin D level was like a 3. And I was like, it's supposed to be like anywhere between like 40 and 60. My shit was 3. Yeah, and I was like, fuck. And that affects your mental health a lot.
Yeah.
Greatly. It's crazy.
Wow.
A lot of, and that's the suicide thing, man. That stuff. I don't know the solution for that. That's just like the solution. Can we get Marines to stop drinking and doing dumb shit? Probably not.
That's good.
But it's like, can we get guys? I think everyone at some point, even in your career, you may not know it, but you'll probably realize later in life that you've probably helped more people you probably saved more people's lives than you realize, And that's one thing I realized since I've been out, and like having conversations with other Marines I've worked with, and just now, and just like, man, there's that dude. When that dude came and talked to me about some shit, that was a fucking, just like the stupid training. That's a cry for help, And you don't know it. You don't know it in the moment, You're sitting there just because you're like, you're swamped with like, let's say you got a package, you got a bunch of awards on your desk, you got a review from Sergeant Major, and all of a sudden, like, I come in your office about some heavy ass shit, and you're like, your mind's in one place, but then you realize what that 15, 20, 30 minutes you lent with that kid, you probably helped save his life, And it's as simple as that sometimes, Or if it's random, I'm sure you've had it happen, like a recruit or some random Marine that you worked with a long time ago comes up, hey, Gunny, I just want to say thank you. Like, for what, motherfucker? Like, you're a pain in my ass. Like, in the back of your head, in the back of your head, you might, man, you're the fucking biggest pain in my ass, dog. What the hell? But you impacted that guy's life, and we can all sit here and say, yeah, get out and run and do physical fitness and all that crap. Yeah, it's good, but like, not everybody's built to do physical fitness, man. That's the reality.
That's true.
Anxiety is a huge thing, and that's one thing. Like, I don't think, because we're not doctors, right? But like anxiety, a lot of these young guys and gals are coming in, who have a lot of high anxiety, just from the culture they grew up in, like with having the internet since day one, having like social media, having the pressure, like having this, like, to us, it sounds weird, right? Because we know how to turn off we know how to turn it off, right? Because we didn't grow up with it, but these kids are plugged in since day one, and there's a lot of anxiety of like how to be social and some type of demeanor, how they're supposed to act and be perceived as, and they don't know how to talk about those outlets,
Interesting.
Then and the stupid thing is they go down these rabbit holes, and I was just watching this the other day on the news a week ago, and it was wild. There's that chat. Oh, so there's Chat GPT, but there's a chat thing where you can actually have you can have a conversation with a AI person, or not a person, but an AI thing, and you can have these basically fake ass conversations. But it led this kid to kill himself back. I think it was in Florida. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, not yet. Wow.
And it was a high school kid. Basically, he had no friends, whatever, just kind of lonely kid, and ended up just kind of chatting with this thing online, basically having this online, like, I want to say relationship, but it's online conversation, but basically with this AI device. And now this device is putting thoughts in this kid's head, right? And it's everywhere. Like, shit, I experienced it with my daughter. We had like fucking, we didn't know what I was like, what the hell is this shit? Oh, I'm talking to a random bot, like a fucking, like, you type in a word and it'll like, say something back. Yeah, it's crazy. So just being aware of that. And there's, these guys and gals coming in the military, they're surrounded by that stuff, So
that's true.
And you've seen how the Marines are. You get them in formation or something, and it's like, before you're standing out in front of them, what do they all do? They're all on their phones. They're not. Some are socializing, but majority of them are just not. They're not socializing. They're not doing human contact, and it's like, It's ridiculous. So, like, and now it's going to sound like the chaplain, but like, yeah, put down the device, unplug for, you call it a cheat. People call it like, hey, you go to the gym all the time. Hey, have a cheat day on your phone, man. Put your device down or put it on, just turn the Wi-Fi off or whatever and just turn it into a regular phone, and just that, to me, that was the best thing. Like, honestly, like once I got out, like being unplugged from the phone and all that stuff. It was good. It was a good feeling.
Yeah, no more phone calls in the middle of the night. Frick
Yeah, no more
that.
phone calls. No more just being like stressed out about dumb stuff. Like, yeah. So
Waking up at 4 in the morning, like it's the holidays. I'm about to get a phone call. 5 dubs.
yeah,
Look,
like
I fully encourage and am grateful for meeting you here in Bangor. Thank you for your service, John, for your insight. The past 23 years is amazing. It's priceless. You can't get this information. You can't even pay for this, right? Everybody's gonna
right.
tell you. There's a lot of like end result type of videos, or like, hey, this is what it looks like if you do it, but nobody's providing insight when you're in the suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing here for service members, young or old, or about to transition, about to retire, or just get out the four. Look, mental health is thing. You touch on that. I appreciate it. You got about 30 seconds left. Any last save rounds, last words for the crowd? Anything to get off your chest, hit it.
Oh no, it was a pleasure. I appreciate it, Gunny. It was great seeing you guys, seeing you. It was an opportunity. I'm truly thankful for the opportunity. Semper Fidelis.
It's my pleasure, John. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G and Jonathan Hill. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism, ladies and gentlemen. Me and John, we out. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.